IO stands for?
I owe the world an apology.
No, idiots out wandering around.
Well, that and I owe the world an apology.
Oh gosh, you guys.
Idiots out walking
You're
around.
terrible.
World an apology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Do we have everybody though? Seriously.
I think so.
That was my favorite one.
What about you?
I owe the world an apology.
Soda.
Start with roll call, like Ron said, so every family has to call their family names.
Okay, well, who do we start with? Dan? Oh, wait.
No, we start with
You guys. Dick?
What?
Here.
Hey, Tim.
What?
I came from old wine.
Who's in your family?
Old wine.
who's in your family?
They're in their resort.
All right, all right. Gail. Who's in your family?
Who's in my family? John Ware.
John Ware.
John Ware.
Not John.
Not just John, not just Ware.
John.
John Ware.
John Ware.
Megan Ware.
Megan.
Rockets.
Megan Ware.
And
Leslie Ware.
Leslie Girl.
Leslie Girl.
And there's Jenna.
Off of me. That's terrible. That is. That guy over there.
Oh, wait a minute. Tim? No, Rod.
Ron. Yeah, him.
And then there's
Okay, we're all going to be going to the Vinton School of the Blind tomorrow.
Carissa. Carissa was with you.
The bad New Yorkin over there.
The bald guy?
No, that ball guy.
Hey, everybody's here.
Maybe I should have thought this whole family thing. And then there's me. And who am I with?
What's on your eyes, Mary?
There he is.
Hey.
Oh, there's Lauren and Colin. And last but not least, David with
Lori Beth,
Beth.
Christopher, Jared,
Where's Jared? Jared
and the turkey monster,
who's hiding there?
Jacob.
Okay, now that we all know each other, in case anybody forgot, welcome tonight, ladies, gentlemen, flies, gnats, and mosquitoes. Thank you for coming to this. To the 50th anniversary party of Dick and Vivian Petrik. Yay. We love and cherish with all our hearts. We have just a little program for you tonight. Some fun, some laughs, some tears, some of everything.
A lot of swearing.
And please
The audio
know,
visual.
dig down deep in your hearts and anywhere else you have to dig down deep to find sense of humor in some of the things that we have to say tonight, right?
Just remember your mother does
Not have a sense of humor.
Well, we're going to test that
No
tonight.
sense of humor.
We're going to
But
test that.
I want to kick it off with the MC of the evening, Mr. Colorful Shirt himself. What do you call this guy?
Somebody with a bad attitude.
Bad attitude.
Bad
yes.
attitude.
Hand puppets going on here. David is going to kick off the evening with a few comments. David, take it away.
Few comments?
Few comments.
Well, I feel like Chevy Chase and nothing's working, and I might have one of those meltdowns in the station wagon in Phoenixville to use saw vacation. But as it got dark here, but yeah, we are here to celebrate wonderful 50 years of our mom and dad, Dick and Vivian Petrik. Basically tonight what we want to do is just go through a couple things. I'm going to go through Dick and Viv, the early years first, and then each one of us is going to get up and kind of give a personal comment on what our lives meant with mom and dad, what they were like over the years. Then what I'm going to do is go through a few highlights. And we have plenty of highlights over the years. Then as I'm going through the highlights, I want everyone to step up and stand up as I'm going through a highlight. If you have something that you want to share with everyone, definitely want you to do that. And then we'll close with a video Hopefully we won't be watching it on a small screen if Lori can get it to work, but I know Tim made a video, and Lori Beth and I also made a video. So with that, real quick, Dad, you kind of stole some of my thunder with your story, so I'll try to give my rendition of your life here in the early years. But we all know that Dick came to Owing in 1951, right? Or was it 52? Okay, well, Mary, you missed that one.
I certainly did.
Well, you also said that their wedding anniversary was August 4th on here, Mary. That was a little typo.
Well, 1 or 2 days off.
But I remember Dad telling me this story as he drove through the town. He couldn't help but comment, you know, small little town. Definitely not going to hang around this top stand very long. After all, he came to Owing for 2 weeks, like he said. And as he settled into his job as new director of KWL, he grew into a lifetime. And mainly because the story that Dad shared with us earlier is a beautifully built brunette, as I think you said, looking out your newsroom window one day. She's walking down the street, and definitely wanted to meet her. And after they met, he obviously said, "I want to stay in Owing for a little while. At least the scenery's good, right, Dad?" Okay. The other thing is, and also you solidify this a little bit with Mom working at the telephone company. You kind of use her to get your juicy stories, right? Okay. Well, Dick and Viv soon became an item, as we all know, and they went out to the Pine Lodge and cut it up on the dance floor. We knew Dick could really dance well, but I think Viv could even outdo you. Is that right? Okay. All right. Anyway, Dick and Viv, the early years. Vivian and Dick were married August 1st, Mary, 1953. Dick, of course, became the dedicated newsman, and he would only spend, how many nights did you spend in your honeymoon? One night. Why? Well, we didn't know if you were the dedicated newsman or it's because you said $200 a month, Dad. And one time you told me you only made $100 a month and worked 500 hours a week, or $500 a month. 200 a month, okay. So anyway, after one full night of a honeymoon, they settled back to a wonderful life in Owing. Vivian was so proud of her man, and she wanted to show him off their 5-year class reunion. Now, for those of you who don't know what Bell's palsy is, I've had it. Picture this in your mind. Vivian's 5th year class reunion, and we all know the 5-year class reunion, you want to be, you know, what are you doing now? It's after college, and you are sometimes married, and you definitely want to impress your friends, right? Well, picture in your mind, Mom walking in to the 5-year class reunion with this guy with Bell's palsy, which totally polarizes one side of your face. Mind you, he had it bad. The drooling, everything. So it's basically paralyzed, drooling coming down, couldn't blink his eye. So he had this big cone on his eye to help his eye. Couldn't talk. Plus, as we all know, Dad has a slight limp. So you can imagine Vivian parading Dad through the 5-year class reunion. I mean, he looked like something out of a Boris Karloff movie for crying out loud. Walk of the living, limping dead man? I don't know. Well,
Steph, look at your teeth are blue.
Yeah, all right.
pass. You know, Dan, bam! It's a car. Goes flying over.
Actually, somebody called my name. And I turned
Oh, okay.
That's what I was, and I turned around.
So you say.
That's what I, yeah.
So anyway, here's Vivian, just a ravage blonde, bing bong. Here's your son. He's got a concussion, so Vivian will always blame that. Well, anyway, Vivian eventually did get her hair coloring, and she's colored it back to original color, although we don't know what that is. But she's colored it back to original color. And Dan was supposed to be playing outside very, very quietly.
Oh, yes.
So Vivian's in there getting her hair back to its original color. And she goes out to see if Dan's playing quietly. Well, here's a neighbor boy. All of you know David White. Here's a neighbor boy with Dan's head, bam, to the curb. So you do the math. You're up.
That's what happened.
You're up, bro.
I don't have anything on David.
Oh, you've got to have a lot on David.
I
He
don't.
deserves to have a lot on.
We'll wait for later. I didn't write anything on it.
It's okay, you don't need
I just want to recall, no, I want to be serious a little bit. I think there'll be a lot of humor, but I just thought of things that I wanted to say about events that meant a lot to me, and I'm sure everyone in the family. I recall our Sunday drives. It was always getting up early, of course, and going to church, but there was always a memorable drive of either going to Backbone Park or to McGregor Marquette and the restaurant where we had the kitty cocktails, which I can't remember, I'm sorry. But whether it was Backbone or the Mississippi or just down the street, I always looked forward to those Sunday drives, and then we topped it off by going to wonderful A&W root beer stand or the Dairy Queen, in which I remember Dad rolling that window down halfway to put the trays on the window, and we were all like getting our little mama burgers and baby beers and all that, and we were really excited. And I'm not sure if the tray ever collapsed or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if it had a few times. And then we proceeded home to have the Sunday evening down in the family room, in which case, and then which Mom would infamously make her chocolate malts and popcorn every Sunday night, and then we would proceed to watch television and or play card or board games. But that was a real special thing. With as I got older, with everyone being gone all the time, I think that was the only time they could rope us all into one place. And then let's see. And then there was Christmas Eve. That was the other special night in my life, that we would start out eating that wonderful, infamous oyster stew that I love so much, oyster or clam soup or whatever that was. Oyster stew. And then Dad would take us all into the back bedroom for the little story of the night before Christmas. And of course, we always knew, we swore in a stack of Bibles, by God, we saw that reindeer and Santa and that sleigh. But that was the wonderful story. And then Mom, of course, then was out in the front room with Grandpa for many years, pulling out all the presents out of the closet and putting them under the tree. And then we would run out, of course, and start proceeding to just rip and tear like a little tornado. But that really made Christmas very special in our lives. I know a lot of folks, Christmas can be a lot of stress, but I think we always enjoyed our nights. After ripping everything up, then we ended up topping it off by going to midnight mass, which was another wonderful thing. And then basically, but really, as far as personally, as far as I'm concerned, I wanted to just tell Mom and Dad that how what meant most to me was how they stood up for me all my life through all of my adventures. Basically, starting out with our band in 7th grade, where poor Mom had to listen to us playing an hour and a half the same 3 chords of our one song that we tried to learn. But allowing us to practice in the basement, and allowing me to travel and get back at all hours at night with the band always meant a lot, because that was something special. And we actually eventually did get half good. That and the 5 o'clock in the mornings, driving me across town to help me do my paper route. Although letting me ride a bike in the winter, in which case how I ended up in my cast when I slipped on the ice. But I did it, but they, I know, exactly. And something else that, as I grew older, what was important, well, then also being a part of supporting me through all my sporting events, my little league and failed attempts at basketball and high school sport.
Thanks, Dan. I will make one comment, Dan. Having you as a brother, I don't know a nicer person in the world than you, bro. And you are just a terrific guy. And I did beat you by a stroke today in golf. So after little Daniel came in, Then came Gail. Now, I got to be honest with you, Gail's almost the perfect one of the family, almost. I mean, it was really difficult to come up with some things about Gail, but we tried, and I think we succeeded a little bit because, you know, one thing about Gail, you know, she's known as the brains of the family, of course. And I got to be honest with you, the size of that forehead, I mean, how could she not be the brains of the family? Did anyone see her baby pictures? That is one big program. You have Cherokee. But as Gail grew, I will tell you that I talked to a few of her boyfriends over the years, and I don't think it was her brains that they were interested in. As a matter of fact, I remember hearing one time that we had some storm damage or whatever on our roof. And some roofers were fixing our roof, and Gail goes out to proceed to sunbathe outside. Well, one guy fell off the roof. And I don't think his brains had, he didn't have brains on his mind, for sure. That's for sure. But anyway, Gail, let's hear from you. Yeah.
Thank you, David. And it's bad enough having the forehead, but not just the baby pictures. All through my formative years, Mom would cut my bangs to here, so every school picture was forehead and bangs. As we reminisce tonight about our lives growing up, I remember most of it was a noisy but very happy home. Of course, with 5 kids, you're going to have noise, especially Mary and David always fighting with each other. Always fighting.
That's a
Nobody
shock.
else fought with each other. Dad, the noise I always remember is the static from the car radio on summer nights when he was trying to tune in Tigers. The game always comes in better in the car radio out in the driveway. Apparently he did actually hear parts of these games because he was out there for hours at a time. Sometimes when I got home late, I'd have to wake him up in the car and have him come inside and go to bed. Another great time, noisy, fun times were having ping pong tournaments in the basement. No matter how hard I tried, I could just never beat my dad. And being the first girl in the family, I just want to point out that I had it toughest while growing up. The parents are always stricter with the first girl. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, maybe Mom was stricter and Dad was a pushover. Like the time we talked last night, like the time I went to the drive-in with Dan, my protector, and Jeff Burko. And Mom was at Bridge Club, so I asked Dad if I could go. No problem, go ahead. The Tigers are ahead 2-0. Go have fun. So I was out there at the drive-in, and pretty soon I heard this tap, tap, tap on the car window, and there's Dad coming to bring me home. After Mom got home and found out I was out there, she sent him out there. Luckily, I probably wasn't in as much trouble as Dad was. One of the most fun things I did with Mom was to go with her once in a while to work at KOL booths at the county fairs. When she wasn't busy talking to the little old ladies about Dad, she was busy trying to get rid of the lazy boy recliner guy from the booth across from us. That was always fun to watch. I appreciate Mom trying to teach me to sew, and if you don't think Mom has patience, you're wrong, because she does. This outfit I tried to make, I think was a vest and culotte outfit, and the vest I cut and it came down to here instead of down to here when it was supposed to. And she helped me fix it and kept telling me how beautiful it looked. And I knew it was really ugly. She was patient. I want to thank Dad for teaching me it's okay for a girl to be a sportsman. Of course, the bad news is I became a sportsman of losing teams like Detroit or Iowa State. But the good news is he taught me how to be always optimistic for next year. So thanks for that, Dad. Thanks for teaching me how to golf and not getting mad when I hit you in the face with the driver. And thanks for putting your crutches aside and walking me down the aisle on my wedding day, even when you were in pain. And for Mom, I wanted to say thanks for not killing me when I got the big motorcycle burn after I was told not to ride one.
Oh, God,
And
that's
after
right.
I tried to hide it from you for days.
That's right.
And thank you for coming to stay with us when Leslie was born. You spent a lot of time with Megan. You helped us out a lot. It's nice to share that special time with my mom. And I want to thank you both for giving me a happy home, advice and support, encouragement, and most of all, love. I love you both.
I will say one thing. I really enjoyed the last couple of years. You know, you're the one that we haven't really known each other that well the last, you know, 15 years of me living on the West Coast and whatever. We really got to know each other. You guys have been up to the house a couple times, so that's really nice. I think that's great that we're getting closer now. Like I said, I just have no dirt on Gail. It's tough. But this is a lot of fun. Lori and I spent 5 hours editing. There was so much on Jana. I mean, we were just in stitches. But a couple years went by and little Jan's baby came along. You know, like I said, we could spend an entire evening on Jan alone. And we will. She is known as a ditzy child. You know, the Jan Brady. But Jana was born a beautiful, what? Beautiful baby. Where did you
Beautiful baby.
Jana was born a beautiful baby. But as she grew, Dick and Vivian were realizing that Jana was going to be very high maintenance. Picture this, if you will. Jana, long, straight, jet black. Patch over one eye, Coke bottle glasses over whatever's left, braces with the wraparound. I think she had to wear this white cream event. I'm not even sure what in the heck it was, but she had this white cream on. So picture that. And picture late one night that Dick and Viv were coming home from a late night at the Pine Lodge and they locked themselves up. And so they're knocking on the door, knocking on the door. Well, guess who got up but Jan, with all her garb on. I mean, she's decked out. So you see Jana, you get around the corner, Dick and Vivian are looking in, Jana flips the light on, I don't know, they scream louder. Dick and Viv and Jana both thought they seen a monster. Although Dick and Viv, I think thought they saw Armageddon. Poor Jana. Like I said, we had to do a lot of editing. We're going to have some fun tonight with Jana alone. But anyway, Jana, you're up. We're not done yet.
Oh, they're eating the plaster yet.
Well, you took my line about the braces and
Oh.
hair and all that. But anyway, yeah, that was quite a sight. I need the flashlight.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, you do.
Okay, what can I say about two very special people that have played such an important part of my life as well as my family? Shut up.
That was the one big thing I
My
remember.
parents have always been there for me when I needed someone to talk to or help with a project or any city. There have been many instances I can recall when my parents have helped or been there for me, and some of these memories I will share with you. My mom was a stay-at-home mom in our younger years, so she was always driving us here and there to events. One of the earlier events I remember is she was assistant brownie leader for my church. She held meetings at her house and helped out with various projects. I guess the most memorable meeting came at the time of the tornado in 1968. I was only 10 years old at the time, and we were downstairs in our church basement singing, "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands." And she thought, well, we'd better stay down there, and I think all the girls wanted to go out. And it was kind of good that we sang that song because a couple of them were outside, stuck in their cars, and we did stay downstairs, luckily, because when it hit, we were all really scared, not knowing what was going outside. So after it was over, we ventured out to get to our vehicles. And we found out our car was one of the ones that were pretty damaged with the windshield smashed and not drivable. So my mom thought we had better start walking towards home. And with all the hot wires laying on the ground, she carried me on her back all the way home and tried to shield me from seeing some of the terrible destruction all around us. And that was not pretty. Luckily, we made it back home, and hearing that another tornado was spotted and coming towards us, she hurried all of us kids back down the basement, along with 100 coats, flashlights, and enough supplies to last for an entire year. She even insisted that our neighbors, the Bales family, come over, and due to their house having major damage done to their roof, and we all got down underneath the table and hid in there and found out that there was not another tornado coming. She's always supported me through the tough years growing up when a particular girl in my class made my life miserable for several years by taunting me and getting other girls to side with them and not speaking to me or inviting me to their parties. So this was yeah, she does. So she literally gave this girl a piece of her mind and then called her mother and let her know how cruel her daughter was being to me. She made several trips down to the school when I was very young and would not eat my lunch, according to Sister Dennis, my first grade teacher. So she stayed with me until either I ate my food or I didn't eat it, which then in turn I had to stay and pay the consequences and go into the convent and pray for the rest of the day. So besides being in Brownies and Girl Scouts, she paid for piano lessons and gave me the opportunity to participate in sports and cheerleading and let me have the opportunities to have fun with friends and drive a car, which is a whole nother story I won't go into right now, but I do thank them for not being so mad that I did smash up the car. Now, my dad, being the breadwinner of the family, worked really hard for all of us when we were young. He tried to teach me to play ball, played games with us, and being an avid golfer, tried his darnest to teach me the game. To this day, Dad, Ron is the one that's picking up where you left off. He's trying to teach me everything that he learned from you. So, but it's not working very good. But I don't ever give up quitting. I try to do whatever I can to make him happy. So I think that what was I gonna do? I remember the first day. Oh yeah, and then another thing you taught me is to when I was just learning to drive a car. We went up into the school parking lot and drove for hours and hours around the parking lot. And I never wanted to quit. You were getting a little sick of it, but I couldn't wait to ask the next day when I could drive again. So you have been, very influential in my life in teaching me new things and being there for me. So I appreciate all the nice things that you have done for me, both of you, and helping me get through this life.
Dick and Viv were scared to death on what it'd be like having 3 females. Christ, Dad, that's a lot of estrogen, man. I don't know how you did it. That is a lot in the same house. But they welcomed Mary home with open arms, although Mary will tell you that Dick and Viv were trying to get rid of her over the years. Mary had several near-death experiences over the years, like I said. There was one time when Dick fell. That's a shocker. It's one of many, many, many times Dick fell down something. Anyway, Dad fell down the steps with Mary on his arms. I don't know what she landed on, but it wasn't good. Then the other time that she overdosed on baby aspirins.
Oh, I remember that.
That's not good. And then, of course, why, did you help her out or what?
I just remember that.
Here, Mary, open up.
Oh, I remember that. And then, of course, the time that Mary had pneumonia. But Dick and Viv insist that it was all, weird coincidental. And Mary can't prove otherwise. Mary was known as the rebel of the family. That's a shocker, too. Dick and Viv had to spend a lot of times explaining to the nuns at Sacred Heart, why she was always jumping out some window or turning some clock ahead to get out of time soon. But really, I just can't figure out, why she's just such a skag. That was my little pet name for Mary as we grew up. You're up, Mary.
All right.
Yay.
Yay. Well, David's also known as the brat because if I was the skag, he was the brat. We had many times where the rest of the kids had already left home, and I don't need this. And David and I would come home and we'd start wrestling on the carpeting, and there was several years where I could really take David.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the tide turned, and I haven't got him back yet, but I'm working with Colin. Colin someday is going to be able to take you for me, David.
I can believe it.
But anyway, I wrote a nice long speech. I had it typed. I was, as I always am, I'm always prompt. I have it all together, and then I forgot it. It's in North Carolina. So I decided, instead of writing my speech over again, I just wing it because really, I don't need to write what I feel about Mom and Dad. It's they're absolutely great, and it's been an emotional night for me because I love them so much, and it's so great to be here with my family. We've had such wonderful, wonderful times together. the times that really stick out the most in my mind are when we all recently either graduated from high school and were just married, and we didn't have the kids yet. Not that the kids are great, but it was, you know, we'd come home and we'd play cards, and we'd just have all these, you know, little pet names for each other, and we'd just do these things. It was a lot of fun, and we used to just eat ourselves into oblivion. I mean, we would just eat till we got sick, you know, and we can't do that anymore. But it was just so much fun being together as a family. And then once Lauren and Colin came along, I have to say, like I think I said over the 40th, the greatest times of my life have been when I can bring the kids back. That I've had the luxury of not having to work a full-time job that took all my time, or I couldn't in the summertime or in April or at some weird time of the year. If I wanted to come home and see my mom and dad and bringing the kids home to spend time with them, I couldn't just jump on a plane and bring the kids home and just spend the time. It didn't have to be around a holiday or no one else had to be home. They could just spend time with their grandparents and have fun and do nothing but just know who they were, that they were such an important part of their lives. And we did that for several years before the kids got into school and started getting into sports and all that. But to me, that was the most important part, knowing that they would know who their grandparents are, and that, you know, how important it was, and they'll always have those memories. And those are the best memories that they could ever have, and we could ever have as a family. And I don't know, it's just so great to see all of you here tonight, and I love you all very much. This is just really is a very wonderful, wonderful time. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh, up. I'm not done. Now I need a flashlight. All right, and then there's our sweet little Dave Bod, which I actually known as the brat. Even though he was a brat, I can't be too hard on him now because he's done a lot for me.
Oh, don't give me that. Be hard on me.
I know. All right, I'll be hard on you. You really are a little brat. But the best thing you've done is marry this woman right here, hello, and bring all these little sweethearts into our family. Especially the one that's sleeping right there. Wake up! I know you're thinking, what did I get myself into here? But we're here to talk about Dave Bod, as we all know to love him as. And of course, last but certainly very least is David. Very least because little David came into the fold, although the story goes that David was a prodigy from one of the great Saturday night Pine Lodge times I think it was 1962, is that right?
Well, probably, the night probably happened in about August of '62 is my calculation.
Yeah, okay. August of '62, the Pine Lodge was not happening that night, so they left early. And, you know, we have 4 kids, what's one more? I mean, what the heck?
We need another boy.
But at least he turned out to be a boy, and that was a big thing after having 3 girls. And Dick, of course, said, I don't think I can take any more estrogen. And, you know, after 3 girls and a wife, I need another boy. So he was happy that David came along. And David definitely was the baby of the family. With that came certain privileges. For instance, Dick and Vivian were so damn tired of raising kids. Remember, they still had Dan. Hello. Dan there, who was a full-time job. And so they left poor David alone, but not really alone. They handed him over to his 3 sisters, who loved and took very good care of him. That is really knowing how to delegate, Mom. Because 3 older sisters just knew how to take care of that sweet little David. And then when David would yell, ready? Mommy, 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 here, mommy. That was David's favorite line. We'd be laying in bed, you know, and it'd be 3 in the morning, and all of a sudden, mommy, 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 here, mommy. He'd be hugging Goliath, you know, and the whole thing, and maybe throwing up on him at that time, but you know, who knew? So the three girls and Mom would have a conference. We'd like, okay, who's gonna go get that little brat and figure out what the heck he wants? Not me. I think I went last night. Oh, poor David, that little bit, you know. And Dan, of course, never woke up. He never knew. He even had a little brother in the room there next to him. He had no clue what was going on. But anyway, we love David because he's so sweet. And who could not forget that picture of him with his broken collarbone and his little footy pajamas?
I remember
He's so pathetic. He's so cute. But anyway, up next is our sweet little David.
But thank you. Yeah, I just want to go through a quick synopsis of my life growing up with, you know, wonderful parents is my mom and dad, Dick and Viv, and all of you. But the times I remember the most was, you know, before I started kindergarten, hanging around my mom, and we would do everything together. Go to the grocery store, and I remember sitting in the cart at Fairway and getting the free hot dog at the meat department and gnawing on the hot dog as we shopped, and going clothes shopping. And I remember it was a particular time going into Connors, and I'm running around, you know, little kid, opening up all the doors of the dressing, and all the girls and women are, ah! Mom trying to chase me down. Actually, I think the manager at Connors was trying to chase me down, but yeah, I was having fun. I don't know why, but I know now. Then I remember all the times going to the Harrington's house and just sitting and listening to Mom and Anna Mary yap about, you know, nothing. I understand how cherished those friendships are now, but as a little kid, just sitting and watching them, how can you sit and talk for 5 hours? I mean, that's ridiculous. But I remember the Harringtons and Mom, you know, sometimes needed to park me, and I remember her taking me up to Peg's and no, you're gonna like it. You're gonna have so much fun. Just go to Peg's house. And out she went, and about 4 or 5 hours she came back to get me. And I used to play at Peg's house, and again, I understand now why she wanted to park me. I totally get that. But you know, all those special times are when my bond formed with my mom. Right now I call her for business. We talk in-depth businesses. She goes on the website and gets me things on cheese, and bam, they're there on email, and my colleagues are going, "Where'd you get this from?" "Oh, my mom." You know, she's a librarian. My God, she knows everything. But that's where our bond came. I mean, we spent a lot of time together as I grew up, and I really cherish those times. Hanging around with Dad as I grew up. Special times I remember, Gail alluded to it a little bit, but I would come home on my little Stingray, my Schwinn Stingray. I'd pedal home, and there's Dad in the 69 Country Squire station wagon with everything dented up, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Dan.
Yeah.
And there's Dad inside, you know, and so I'd open up the door, and "Can I sit with you, Dad?" "Oh, yeah." So he's listening to the Tigers on WJR 760 with Paul Curry and Ernie Harwell. Ernie Harwell, hearing Ernie Harwell's voice, for those of you who know Ernie Harwell, the voice of the Tigers for 60 years, always brings back memories. I mean, the guy is still incredible. He's 85 and still broadcasting. And Dad would send me in, "Go get Mom to pop some popcorn and get us some sodas." So I would go in, and remember the big turkey pan? The big blue turkey pan. I'd come out with popcorn, and Dad and I would sit in the 69 station wagon and listen to the Tigers. I'll use that loosely because I never heard one thing on the Tigers. Nothing but static, because there was lightning everywhere always. But he'd hear it, and all of a sudden he'd be telling a story. All of a sudden, what happened? "Oh, his Ninny's got a base hit or something." Which leads me into my next thing about Dad, teaching me how to play sports. And before I get to that, though, I do have one story. I remember in the 69 station wagon, Dad would tell me stories about when he was little, and some of those stories are not translated to my sons. But Dad was telling me a story about his early broadcasting days. And he's still at the University of Iowa. And he's on this old rickety chair. This is Dick Petrik with the Hawkeye News, whatever it is. And today the roof collapsed at the Iowa Fieldhouse. And as he pontificated on how the roof collapsed, yeah, the roof collapsed. Down goes his chair. Onto the floor, the microphone, everything. Dead airspace. And right as he said the roof collapsed, he collapsed. Now that's virtual reporting, I will tell you. But, Dad taught me how to play sports and to be a poor sport. And he did a very good job in the latter. For those of you who witnessed my golf game today, I threw more clubs than, most of the clubs. Most of the clubs, and a few Effenheimers came out too, which is no shocker for everyone. But we would play catch in the backyard, and Jared, this is how Papa Dick told me how to play baseball. We would sit up and he would play catch, and how he taught me how to play catch is he would whip it at me, and I learned how to catch. If I didn't catch it, I got hit. That's how I learned how to play catch with Papa Dick. And we'd play pepper, and so I'd pitch it in there, and he'd whack it at me. But I learned how to play. Definitely learned how to play. And then the other times, the Sunday mornings at Hickory Grove, our country club, and I'll use the term country club very loosely. But we would go out every Sunday morning and swim, and we would swim and hot tub and sauna. And, you know, for the 1 hour or 2 hours together with my dad, we were more than just father and son, we were friends. So there were some things that we talked about as I became a young adult in high school that we talked about in the sauna that never went anywhere, and I really relished those talks, Dad. The other thing I remember growing up as kids, and I think a couple of you anyway, I know Jan and Mary maybe, was the 7:30 bedtimes in the middle of the summer. Am I right?
We didn't like that.
The sun is still in the air up here. Kids are outside playing, because we didn't have air conditioning then. Windows are open, kids are outside playing, having fun, and we're in bed. And I swear to God, every night I heard a bottle of wine on cork about 7:45.
Yeah.
And I can just see her now pouring it over her eyes. Oh, the breaths are in bed. I can appreciate that now. And that's why we love winter, because it gets dark at 6 o'clock in winter.
Hated that when we went to bed. Jeez.
But as I grew, my junior high years were wonderful. My high school years, I just had a charmed high school life. I really did, and the folks were so wonderful because they left me alone, and I had a Buffalo. It was great, but it was wonderful. You know, I bought me a '74 Monte Carlo. I'll never forget that. It was a great car for high
How come
school.
you had a car?
Because I was special.
Oh man.
You know what?
You had a car too? I never had a car.
We had to get boyfriends to get a car.
I know.
Believe me, I don't think Dad wanted me to have a boyfriend. But as I entered my adult life, you know, and I turned 20 years old, Adam, you might be able to appreciate this, maybe not yet, especially with your mom, but I really learned to understand that they were right. They were right. As I turned 20 and got into my adult life, all the advice that I got, that I received throughout the years, that I was saying that there's no way it's right. They were right. They knew more than I did, which is a shocker. But it's amazing that the advice that you learn through the years, by sheer osmosis, does pay off. I've made some mistakes along the ways, you know, and they were always there to pick me up. And you know, I guess it's been wonderful, wonderful. The only thing that I really am mad at Dad is he made me a Detroit fan, and I can't shake it. Other than that, it's been just wonderful having you as parents. I love you so much. I love talking with you. One of the things I love to do the most, now that I have my own wonderful family, is call you guys, see you, have you up at the house, and talk sports with you, Dad, talk business with you, Mom. It's just wonderful. Thank you.
Yay.
Kids and a husband that doesn't know where the hell he's going. So all I can remember is Vivian telling Dick where to go and giving him directions. Actually, I remember a lot of times throughout the years
Just tell him
telling him where to go and giving him directions. Anyway, his poor driving wasn't limited to the car, but the golf cart as well. I remember so many times we'd load a bunch of kids up in the golf cart, and we'd go swinging around, and I mean, every corner, a kid would go flying off, a corner, a kid would go flying off, and sometimes Papa Dick would go flying off. You know, when the people of Owine saw Dick coming, they yielded to him. I mean, they got the heck out of the way. Of course, he probably said it's because I'm the voice of Northeast Iowa. They yielded to me. Not because the madman had to turn 5 lanes to the left to turn right.
It's called a wagon wheel.
And I know, AJ, you were telling me about a story once. You want to share that one?
Well, besides the numerous red lights that he
How about the post office one?
What about the one going down the one-way street one way at the 3-mile corner?
Chris was with me. We were coming on Highway 3 from like towards Hangler way, that direction. Going down the road that way, you know how you have to veer off to go to a stop sign. Instead, the road kind of comes with a T and a sign that says a median, you gotta keep right. So Grandpa, not really paying attention much, just kind of keeps driving, and I kind of look back at Crystal, and we knew we had to go that direction. He's going down the road, and we meet this full-size van, and the van's looking at us, flipping us off as we go by. Grandpa waves at him.
Well, it's a darn good thing we're all still alive, especially Dad.
Hey, wait a minute.
Okay.
Wonderful.
You know, speaking of one ways, David, of course, is the king of going the wrong way. David, without his license, home one time when Mom and Dad were gone, and all of a sudden, I think I'm at the drive-in, and I hear across the speakers that come in, Mary Beth Petrik, report to the snack bar immediately. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what's wrong? Something happened. I run in there. Your brother's in jail. Jeez. So I call down there, and there's David at the police station because he went down he took the car, he didn't have his license, he went down the wrong way of a one-way street.
Can I tell the other side of the story?
No.
Part of it?
How was it my fault?
How
No,
was it his
it
fault? When David came home growing up,
No, I mean, when he was picked up, he went to pieces and became hysterical, and the policeman said, please, Sonny, just calm down. We'll try to find someone to take care of you. Where are your parents? I have I don't know where my
They
parents
just left me alone, and they left me the keys to the car too.
I know.
are.
David's
We
home.
had set him down and said, we're going out and play a round of golf. You stay in the house. All right, I'm going to watch TV.
Poor David. He comes home growing up, pacing. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm going to jail. So David knows what it's like to be down the wrong way of a one-way street. Right, David?
I did all this before my 15th birthday. I had a good rap sheet going.
I remember the time when you were drag racing down here with a ping pong ball.
All the stories that we'll talk about those later, Jared. I use a lot of stories. These stories for my three sons.
My three sons.
My three sons bedtime. Every night. All right. Enough of David's bad driving. The other thing is nervous Vivian. Now we all know that Mom's a little nervous and a little overprotective, right? I mean, calling Mom a little overprotective is like calling Saddam Hussein a pickpocketer, am I right? She's a little overprotective. I mean, growing up, we were the only kids that had to wear those god-awful orange life vests when we were within at least a mile of the water. When we were little, we'd have them on now because there's some way that we could get sucked out into the lake over there. So we would have those life vests on. And they were always those god-awful orange ones that stunk.
And they come up around your neck, you know, you can't breathe.
Put that on. You can put an eye out with that. The other thing is, Mom was the best seatbelt we ever had. I mean, I'll tell you, when we were sitting in the front seat, of course, back then we didn't have seatbelts. And even a slow stop, whoosh, her arm would be over there faster than Superman shaking hands with a $6 million man. I mean, it would be right here. I still have the bruises. But boy, we didn't go anywhere. The other thing is every time a storm was brewing, and obviously a lot of our family history is about tornadoes, and that's probably why I'm so infatuated with tornadoes. I just love them. But if our house ever gets hit and thrown away, I know I'm going to get blamed for it, but I absolutely love them. But every time a storm was brewing, Mom would throw every couch over. Why, I don't know, but the couches would go over. We would go down, and she'd proceed to every closet, grab all the coats. I don't know why the coats, but all the coats. And she'd be throwing them at us, grabbing coats and throwing them at us. And we were just sitting there. We couldn't figure it out. The only thing I figured out is the tornado sucked all our clothes off. We'd have something to wear. I don't know. But damn it, we always had coats. You know, the irony of that all is all those years of practicing these storms that never came. The one time it came, Dan's out walking around, Gail's out walking in it, Mary and I are at home watching it in this big picture window, watching like this. Dad's in the kitchen too worried about everything else that's going on. And Mom and Jan are out as well, so we're all out in this tornado. When it actually finally hit, it was a classic, but we'll probably have more tornado stories later. Well, no, it's all right. Tell it, Dad.
Gail was coming back from school, and I had two little ones downstairs. I saw Gail coming down the tornado right behind her. She was being blown up in the air, just bouncing like this, you know. And I managed to reach out and grab her hand just as she flew by. Got her down.
I do remember Gail coming down the stairs. Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh my god! Mary and I were like, what's going on?
You did not. You were crying.
I was calm.
You were crying.
I was calm.
Mary was in shock.
Mary was crying.
You were crying.
Hey, and I have to tell you that David and I had to go in and wake Dad up from his nap, his usual nap, to tell him there's a tornado out there. Or otherwise he would have slept through the whole thing, which Dad is known for sleeping through every major problem that's ever happened in this family.
Just to pontificate a little bit, Mary and I are out in the window, and it's just purple and all the clouds, and this big counterclockwise purple thing's coming down like this. And I looked at it, I'll never forget this. Mary, doesn't that look like a tornado? She's like, I don't think so. But you better go wake Dad anyway.
Dad, what do you think? Do you think it's
He
a
comes
tornado?
running out. Oh my God!
Call Gail, yell, quick!
Okay, damn it, the biggest story of the year, and I'm at home.
Hey, I'm sleeping through it.
Yeah, everybody gets home, he's gone.
For 3 days.
Yeah, forget about us. It was just a story.
Everybody okay? All right, I'm moving on. All right. Because Dan is really a poor driver as well. Although you've improved quite a bit, but when you were growing up, you were not good. I remember the time when we went down to pick up Dad at the radio station, and Dan turned too close, hit a pole, but not only did he stop after he hit it, he kept going. And Mom's going, stop! But I could see all the stuff flying off the car, one side to the other, hit the whole thing. Of course, there's that time too. I think you were, even before you had your license, you backed the car up and hit another car.
Oh, the car
across the street.
Yeah, across the street.
Hit that one.
Yeah.
And then I remember the pole at the country club. Oh, you're getting to that. The pole at the country club. So you're right, Dan. You're right there. I'm sure there's many others because I saw your cars come home when you were younger and they were all dinged up and dented up and whatever. And then Mary's a classic too. Mary smashed two of our cars at the same time, not once, but twice. First time coming home from church, I'm in the car with Dad. Mary turns into the driveway, boom, into the other car. Dad's just like, oh. She puts in reverse. Wait a minute, don't go. Pulls off the bumper. Puts in drive, gonna do it again. Dad's like, no! And then the other time she's backing up. Ron's beautiful 1976 Nova, which I just love that car. It's parked across the street.
Ron, what are you doing parking across the street? Jeez,
You should have known after me
that.
that.
It's your fault, Ron.
Mary's playing demolition derby. And of course my incident up the one-way street. Now I will tell you that I was 14 years old and the parents left and they didn't tell me where they were going and they gave me the keys and said, go ahead and take the car, not a problem. But there is one-way street in Owing. One. I made it. And there's two cop cars in Owing. That's it, two. So the odds of me going down the one-way street at the same time that a cop is going down the wrong way street are, 1,000,000 to 1, right? So the lights come on, and I'm with Pat Palmer, one of my friends. Deserted street, one-way street, the lights come on. I didn't stop right away. A little siren. I looked at him, you think it's for us? Pulled over, I got a ticket for speeding, one-way street and no driver's license. And again, that was all before my 15th birthday. So see guys, don't do that. But we do have to talk about one more person in driving before we move on.
There she is, sitting up there.
Jana
The
takes the
queen.
prize. She really takes the prize for this one. One time Dick and Vivian went out of town. I believe it was one of their many Vegas junkets. They would leave for a weekend and not come back. They would just go. Jana was instructed not to take the car out of town. Jana did take the car out of town. She went to Strawberry Point. And in her mind, in her words, I should say, she hit the proverbial moving tree. The tree jumped right out in front of her and she hit the tree. And she left the car under the tree and went and did something. I don't know. She went to her party.
Huh?
I don't know what you did afterwards, but you left the car under the tree. And a bunch of birds decided to have a crappy party.
That was the next day.
So when Jana returned, she drove the car home. It had the remnants of the party all over it. No grill, no bumper, 2 missing headlights, hood smashed into the bejesus, the fender rubbing against the tire. She's limping it into the garage. I'll never forget her. Jana gets out. My God, you think they'll notice? Mary and I look at him.
They might.
I'm betting they will, Jana.
They will.
What if I give it a good wash?
A little polish.
Like I said, Jana is very special. I still remember it. Conked her right in the head, and there she goes. Get a spoon!
Yeah, where's the spoon?
Always gotta get a spoon.
And Dad was always in the bathroom. I don't know what Dad did in the bathroom for 6 hours in the morning, but he was always in there.
Damn it, Nick, your daughter's dying. Get a spoon.
And I wake up and
Oh, because she swallowed.
She swallowed her tongue.
isn't right. The first year we drove out the trip or something, it took us maybe 10 hours because we had a flat tire.
On top of that, we caravanned 3 cars, and we caravanned along all the way up through Iowa and into Minnesota, and we got about 50 miles from the resort, and 2 cars went that way, and we didn't see them turn, so we went this way, and they went way around like this, and we went way around like this, and we met right
And Tim reminded me that we had a stack of napkins in our back, and the windows open.
God.
And there they go. One napkin would fly out, and the cars behind us, they'd see these napkins flying out like we were leaving the trail one by one.
250 napkins.
But they only flew out one at a time.
One at a time, I remember that.
But the beauty was we knew how to find our way home. We could just follow the napkins and we returned.
Actually, I think Mary looked out the back and Mary goes, look, somebody's losing all their napkins.
Oh, and what about when Dad and Dick Applin were out sailing?
Oh, yeah.
And there was no wind, and they're out there just, you know, the boat is still, and they're waving like, bring out the speedboat, pick us up, and we're all going, hi, how are you?
Nice to see you.
They're all baking in the sun.
4 hours later.
So those were fun vacations.
I mean, hell, if anybody ever wanted gravity tested, they called in.